Okay, we're live. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ray,
Yes, here.
Ms. Terry,
Here.
Mr. Hofer,
Here.
Mr. Petrie,
Here.
Mrs. Frola.
Here.
Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 4, presentations. Schropp Intermediate School Update. Mrs. Vard.
Hi, good evening. Board members, I gave you a sheet, and it just says Schropp Intermediate School at the top. I'm going to just really briefly talk about that. I wanted to speak about something very positive that happened at Schropp, and then I'm going to turn the presentation over to my social emotional learning team, and they're going to do a presentation for you tonight about a program that we've implemented this year. So if you look at the first sheet, even though report cards for schools were not issued by the state this year due to the pandemic, schools still receive data. So tonight, I'd briefly like to talk about value added, which is known as student progress. And it's the growth that the students are making on their, and it looks at the growth from their past performance to what they learned during that school year. So in other words, generally, this is based on 1 year, but since we didn't have testing in 2020, this is based on 2 years' growth. So it looks at where the students are when they come into your classroom at the beginning of the year and basically where they end at the end of the year. So in all subjects that were tested in 2021, Schropp students were at or above the expected growth measure. A growth index of 1 or greater means that the students exceeded expected growth. And Schropp students exceeded expected growth in 5th and 6th grade language arts and math. In 4th grade language arts, our students made growth as expected. The 5th grade science and the 4th grade math were not reported because the 3rd grade math and the 3rd grade reading testing did not happen in spring of 2020. And those scores are used to project the scores of the future. So that is why you will not see the 4th grade math and the 5th grade science this time. Those will be back next year though. In the 5th grade language arts and the 5th and the 6th grade math, Schropp had a growth index over 2, which is incredible growth. Not only do the students make more growth than expected, they went even further in the top effectiveness level. In 6th grade math, we had a 10.56 growth index, which is that growth is one of the highest growth indexes that we have ever seen at Schropp. I would like to say that I am very, very proud of the progress that our students have made. Even during this pandemic, they were continuing to grow forward every year. And this is due to our teachers. The teachers, one of the things I've always told my teachers is, one thing you do have control over and you can do is you look at the child that comes before you at the beginning of the year. It's your job to take that child and move that child forward. You know, we're not worried about what came before. We're not worried about anything else but taking that child and moving that child forward in all aspects of everything. I'm talking about trying to move them forward with behavior, with academics, helping them socially and emotionally, and just doing the best you can. And I truly think my teachers really live by that. And you can see that during this really, really hard time, we still continue to make this excellent growth with our students. So I just really wanted to point that out because I know a lot of that is not out there this year because the report card grades weren't given. But when you start looking at our data and digging into our data, that is what happened during the pandemic here. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Lisa, hats off to you and your teachers. That's outstanding. I've
Thank you.
always thought that this is the most important part of the district report card.
Me too, and thank you for saying that, because for years and years, one of the things that districts like Springfield and other districts fought for was we wanted to see the growth component added in. Because for a long time, the only thing that was out there was the achievement component, and that was what that child scored on that day when they took that test. And that was it. They didn't want to look at where the child was and how far you could take the child. And I know for a long time, you know, a lot of people, we all kept saying, come on, we need to be able to have our growth measured, because that's us working with the kids. And so they finally made that a component of the report card. And since they have, Schwab has consistently shown growth in it. But I was just so impressed with the growth that we had during this time. And like I said, that is these teachers working every single day in these classrooms with these kids. And in spite of everything, I mean, this was with online learning. I had an online learning classroom last year, a teacher who had taught that subject for the very first time online, and she had 3.4 growth index. So above what the state considers excellent for the very first time. And I mean, that's just wonderful. And like I said, I wanted to make sure that I got to mention that tonight. A lot of my teachers are here, and they are the ones that are doing this day in and day out. So thank you for mentioning that, because that was one of the points that I wanted to make up. Finally, growth is noticed and growth is appreciated. Okay, and please feel free, if you have any questions about that, or if anybody has any questions, to call me and I can explain it further. I didn't want to spend a lot of time on it tonight because I really want you to hear the presentation. Social emotional learning has been a huge topic lately everywhere. And this is something that Schwab has made our focus this year. And I have an excellent team that I'm going to introduce. And this is just part of the team that is here to present tonight. But they have worked so hard on implementing these programs into our classrooms this year. And the research they brought and the dedication is unbelievable. So I'm going to turn it over to them. I would like to introduce you to, this is Carrie Franks. She is our school counselor. Ashley Poles, and she is one of our intervention specialists. Kate McFeeters is another intervention specialist. And Brittany Glasgow is our speech therapist. And Melanie Smethers is back there in the back, and she's another intervention specialist. And they are some of the leaders on our team, so they're going to speak to you about what they've been doing this year. They have a presentation ready for you. Okay.
Hello everyone, my name is Brittany Glasgow. I'm the speech language pathologist at Schwab. And again, we are incorporating the zones of regulation at Schwab to promote social emotional learning. The zones of regulation and the social thinking curriculum have joined together. It was created by a speech language pathologist named Michelle Garcia Winter and an occupational therapist named Leah Kuipers. It's an evidence-based, research-based curriculum, and it's used around the United States across schools everywhere. It's used to teach children how to recognize their emotions, become aware of their body, develop and use strategies to self-regulate their emotions, to be ready to learn, and to express and communicate their emotions, and to also problem-solve social situations. So the zones of regulation framework and curriculum teaches students scaffolded skills towards developing a metacognitive pathway to build awareness of their feelings, internal state, and utilize a variety of tools and strategies for regulation, pro-social skills, self-care, and overall wellness. This includes exploring tools and strategies for mindfulness, sensory integration, movement, thinking strategies, wellness, healthy connection, and making healthy connections with others. The zones of regulation provides a common language and compassionate framework to support positive mental health and other skills to develop across all, while serving as an inclusion strategy for neurodiverse learners. Those who have experienced trauma and or have specific needs in terms of social, emotional, and behavioral development. The zones of regulation creates a systematic approach to teach regulation by categorizing all different ways we feel and states of alertness we experience into 4 concrete colored zones. The framework is designed to help move students towards more independent regulation while also honoring and respecting each student and their unique self. So what is the zones? The zones is a proactive, skills-based approach. It's simple, uses common language to understand and talk about and teach regulation. It's a consistent metacognitive pathway to follow for regulation. It's a systematic framework with developmental and sequence of lessons, and it's meant to be adapted for all of our learners. And our kids have made tremendous progress so far, just with starting at the beginning of the school year. We've seen such significant growth in terms of our kids are better able to self-regulate their emotions, identify their emotions, advocate for themselves, use more appropriate ways of expressing their emotions, and we've had a big decrease in serious behaviors. Our staff and our adults, they cannot assist our students to identify and regulate their emotions if they're not able to regulate their own. Not only is this curriculum supporting our students, but our staff as well. If students' emotions are not regulated, they will not be able to successfully perform, participate, or complete their academic work. Their learning, as well as the learning of others, is negatively impacted. And that's why we need to create calm and not join their chaos.
Included in your handouts is an overview of the main vocabulary that is utilized in the zones of regulation. During our first many weeks of implementing this curriculum and adjusting our mindset, we started with introducing these terms and getting our students to understand what they mean and how to use them. They included words like blue zone, yellow zone, and red zone, where we discuss with the students what people may feel when identifying as part of this zone and how they may react to the world around them. We've also been teaching the students strategies or tools to help them move from red or yellow zones to the green zone, where they'll be more able to focus on their learning. A great emphasis was placed on learning about the zones and that all zones are acceptable places to be. Every week, our social emotional team plans a lesson based around key vocabulary terms and strategies that align with these terms. There may be direct instruction, videos, activities, or discussions that occurred during these lessons. It's expected that all homeroom teachers present the outlined lessons on Monday during our SEL portion of our morning. We have seen and heard that teachers are going deeper into topics that need more time, explanation, or practices. In addition to our weekly lessons shared with the students, we have also created a newsletter which helps us to get the word out to the parents. I believe you have one included at the very back of your handouts. This attempts to include them in the discussion around social emotional learning and introduces them to the vocabulary that our students are learning about at school. Our hope is that we are giving them shared vocabulary when discussing social emotional well-being at home and encouraging their children to share what they're learning about at school.
Along with the weekly lessons, the students have the opportunity to participate in a check-in through the Google or the social emotional Google Classroom. The check-in provides each student with the opportunity to identify their zone, share why the zone was chosen if they'd like, and in addition, they can identify if they would like to talk to someone and who, if they would like to talk to someone specific. Their responses are monitored by members of the social emotional learning team, and if they would like to talk to someone, the team member ensures that the student is connected through the counselor with someone at school or to the counselor directly, depending on the situation or the severity. Furthermore, the SHROP teachers are amazing, and many have their own personal ways to monitor which zones the students are in their classrooms, including cards, magnets, personal check-ins using technology. Regardless of where the student checks in, the student is always referred to someone if they need to be, especially if it is severe. Currently, as a baseline, 20% of the student population are submitting their weekly check-in consistently with the social emotional Google Classroom. The goal looking to next year is to use universal language and a unified approach to create a space where students feel comfortable discussing their mental health needs, and teachers have the tools and resources to support or guide the students to receive the support needed.
CEL hosted Random Acts of Kindness Week. One of the activities was 500 ways. 500 ways to be kind. This is a rainbow for the amount of students we have at Schropp. Each student wrote one way to be kind on colored paper, and the cell team created this large rainbow in the hallway. The other activity was Spartan Czar, and each class voted on one kind word to display on a poster board. Each classroom took a picture of themselves holding the poster. The cell team created a big banner to display in the hallway. The students voted on a dress-down day, and the theme they chose was Spartan Spirit. And I'm going to just say, watching them, looking at these things, reading the notes, finding themselves, it is, you just can't imagine the feeling. And the children, just the joy, the happiness that they participated in this, and they're all over the school.
So each one of our students in our school on the big rainbow, they all wrote one way that they can be kind. And all of the different ways that they wrote on there, it's just, the things they come up with is just amazing. And we've had it up for, I don't know, like over a month now, and we still have kids going up to the big rainbow and the pictures of themselves where the Spartans are, and they love it. Like in the morning or on their way to lunch, they're always looking at the different ways to be kind, and it's really spreading kindness throughout the school every day.
A couple of the slides that we didn't go back to is a couple of teachers have put in calming corners in their classrooms. The music teacher actually is using one of the little rooms off the side of the big music room and has put into place a corner where it has items that they can use to calm down. Sheets that have like steps if you have anxiety, things that you can do to help that. Just a quiet space if they want to color, like some of the mindfulness coloring things. She has music ability in there if they need to listen to mindful music. One of the 6th grade teachers within the regular classroom has put in a corner where she has, like a comfy beanbag and just a calming space where she also has a lot of the items. As you can see, our goals for 22-23, zones of regulation training for all staff. We implemented it like the 2nd or 3rd week of school. We did a brief training on it with our team and the staff. We want to expand that next year and make sure that they have training that they need. And zones of regulation puts on training themselves through webinars and things like that. So we're going to utilize that next year. So it'll be free. It won't cost us anything. We want to make sure we continue using a universal language. We've started it this year. We've heard it throughout the building. It's been really fun as a counselor having the kids come in, and I've used zones off and on over the billion years I've been here. And to have the students come in, and I'll say, what zone are you in? And they'll be like, oh, I'm in blah, blah, blah zone. And then you'll be like, what got you there? What's going on? And for them to be able to use words to explain it, whether it's sad, anxious, angry, frustrated, whether it's, from sickness, death, COVID, a variety of things, and then have them say what they need, that self-advocacy piece, what they need to be able to calm down, to get back to that classroom, to get to learning. I mean, that's what we are all about anyway, and it's fun to have a huge tool across the building to be able to use that. And we want our students to continue to fill in the check-ins. We have a baseline of 20%. We're trying to grow that. You don't want to make it mandatory, but you kind of do, because we do want to know where everyone is at mentally and emotionally. And like we've stated earlier, the students can fill it in, say who they want. The team's done a great job of monitoring that. Huge undertaking when you have 500 students. We aren't having 500 turn them in, but we're anticipating when they do. So we have that plan in place to make sure that we get to that student that day that they fill it in. And then we want a calming corner in each room, and Frank from, State SST8 is working with us for a grant to be able to buy the items. We'll buy them and then they'll reimburse us so that we can actually let the teachers, we're going to purchase items that would go in like just a basket. Doesn't have to be huge, just a basket to get them started. And then as they see the students using them, then we can add more. But we're going to let the teachers, whatever they're comfortable with. If they're not comfortable with fidgets, or they're not comfortable with different things that make noise, we don't want them in there because we need the teacher to be calm as well. So we want to make sure it's good for both. The other thing that we're excited about is just the opportunity to present tonight, that you're willing to listen and realize that our students are learning. They are able to manage emotions. They are able to self-regulate. Right now, we're doing a lot of co-regulation, which is that modeling piece and coming alongside them, meeting them where they are, and taking them forward. And it takes the village. It takes all of us to do that. And throughout the building, you can see it doesn't matter what staff member it is, even the kitchen, people have been able to see a difference and use the language. And we're not perfect, we're learning, but we are so far ahead of where we were at the beginning of the year. So thank you again, Mrs. Varden, for putting us together, because it also includes all the specials, art, music, phys ed teachers as well as part of our team. So we're coming at the social emotional learning piece from all angles of the child, all parts, so we can meet the whole child where they are. So thank you again for allowing us to be here. If you have any questions, of course, you can contact Mrs. Varden or any of us.
One more thing I wanted to add is every classroom has a zones of regulation check-in, like whether it be like a poster or magnets like we talked about earlier, which is amazing because kids can check in at any time throughout the school day, but our data is strictly from Google Classroom.
The weekly
So
check-in.
yeah, like we have grown tremendously since the beginning of the school year, getting everyone on board, and kids love it. And we love it too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job.
That was really good.
Yep. Good stuff.
Presentation very much appreciated. Thank you very much. Item 5, approval of minutes. It is recommended that the board approve the minutes of the regular meeting of February 15th, 2022, and special meetings of February 18, 24, and 25, and March 5th, Exhibit 1, 1A, 1B, 1C, and 1D.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Hofer,
Yes.
Mrs. Frola,
Yes.
Ms. Terry,
Yes.
Mr. Petrie.
Yes. Motion carries. Item 6, citizens' comment on agenda items. Citizens' comment on agenda items are welcome at this time. Participants shall be limited to 5-minute durations. Seeing none. Item 7, payment of bills monthly. It is recommended that the board approve payment of bills for the month of February pending audit, Exhibit 2. I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Ms. Terry,
Yes.
Mrs. Frola,
Yes.
Mr. Petrie,
Yes.
Mr. Hofer,
Yes.
Mr. Ray.
Yes. Motion carried. Item 8, acceptance of financial reports. It is recommended that the board accept the financial reports from the treasurer for February 2022, Exhibit 3, 4, and 5.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Frola,
Yes.
Mr. Petrie,
Yes.
Mr. Hofer,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Ms. Terry.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 9, personnel. It is recommended that the board accept and approve the following personnel items. 9.1, retirement resignation. Accept the retirement resignation of teacher Holly Reed effective June 1st, 2022. 9.2, resignation. Accept the resignation of classified employee Amy Laporis effective February 15th, 2022. 9.3, resignation. Accept the resignation of certified employee Robert Lane effective February 17th, 2022. 9.4, employment. Employ Alexis Henderson as a 4.5-hour routed bus driver on Route 61 per the negotiated agreement pending proper licensure effective February 23rd, 2022. 9.5, employment. Employ Jennifer Herron as a 6.5-hour teaching assistant at Schropp Intermediate School per the negotiated agreement pending proper licensure, effective March 7th, 2022. 9.6, tenure. Approve tenure for certified employee Shane Curry, who was initially licensed after January 1st, 2011, holds a professional license, has appropriate credit hours, has at least 3 years' experience in the district, and has held an educator license for at least 7 years, and is therefore recommended for a continuing contract effective July 1st, 2022. 9.7, administrative contract. Approve a 3-year administrative contract for Todd Lovell, Springfield High School and Junior High Assistant Principal. 9.8, administrative contract. Approve a 3-year administrative contract for Kevin Vaughn, Athletic Director and Dean of Students, 7 through 12. 9.9, athletic supplemental contract. Approve the following athletic supplemental contract for the 2021-22 school year per the negotiated agreement pending proper licensure. James Branchick, varsity track coach, track assistant coach, 11%. 9.10, release from employment, classified staff. Approve a release from employment with Springfield Local Schools due to a reduction in force for the financial reasons. The following classified employees effective 2022-23 school year. Alexis Henderson. Release of employment certified staff, item 9.11. Approve a release from employment with Springfield Local Schools due to a reduction in force for the financial reasons. The following certificated employees effective 2022-23 school year. Shane Robinson, Kim Whitmire, 50%, Lindsay Ibos, Shane Curry, Elizabeth Kreitz, Ashley Fraley, Jim Mills, Kendra Cox, Tim Cole, Lisa Gray, Matt O'Brien, and Heather Meeker. This is not an easy thing that we do today.
No, it's not. Sadly, I make a motion.
Second.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Hofer,
Unfortunately, yes.
Mrs. Frola,
I'll say it again, sadly, yes.
Ms. Terry,
Yes.
Mr. Petrie.
Yes. Motion carries. Item 10, Summit ESC addendum to related service and excess cost agreements. It is recommended that the board approve an addendum to the fiscal years 2021, 2022, and 2023 related service and excess cost agreements with the Summit Educational Service Center, Exhibit 6.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Ms. Terry,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Hofer,
Yes.
Mrs. Frola,
Yes,
Mr. Petrie.
Yes. Motion carries. Item 11, resolution accepting the amounts and rates. It is recommended that the board approve a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county fiscal officer, Exhibit 7. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Mr. Petrie,
Yes?
Mrs. Frola,
yes,
Ms. Terry,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Hofer.
Yes.
Motion carried. Excuse me. Item 12, Treasurer's Report.
Before I talk about finances, I want to congratulate the team here. It was a great presentation, and boy, is it useful for the children, and probably it's useful for the staff, too. My mind was thinking about how I could use some emotional help in the administrative offices. we've been going through some difficult times, and obviously when you're broke, and in the treasurer's office, we're actually converting to a new state accounting system, which, although my team is great, there are hurdles, and once in a while I'll hear the growls in the other office, so maybe I can get some of this stuff, a comfort pillow or whatever. But it's a great idea. We all need, during these tough times, that type of environment, and it's nice to hear that the kids are getting help, because I'm sure they need it. I mean, we tend to forget what we've been through collectively for the last 2 years, and all the help we can need. On the finance side, there's a couple things I want to talk about. As I said earlier, we are moving to a new direction in the treasurer's office as far as our software program. Eventually, it's going to be good for our team and the district. We're replacing a system that's been around forever, and change is hard, though, as we all know, when you change a system that everybody's been used to. Secondly, as we all know, tonight was difficult for our board members. It's difficult for everybody when it's impacting people's lives. So I implore our community to get to the ballot. You're never going to have a more reasonable levy than you're going to have now, as far as the cost impact to the taxpayers. The need is there. It can't be disputed. It's been over 20 years since the new levy. There's not many districts that can survive on that. So you're going to hear that from me a lot. Our kids deserve it, you know. Bottom line, our kids deserve it. The second thing I want to talk about is at the administrative offices, we're always looking for ideas to cut costs. We're excited to announce that we're reviewing our insurance. It's looking good. I always like to shout out to Linda Cooper. She brought this organization to our attention. It's mostly run in Portage County, but the thing that caught my ear is I have a friend that's the treasurer at Waterloo and Field, and they were with the Stark County COG, and we were always told that the Stark County COG, being so massive and big and having thousands and thousands of organizations, tens of thousands of participants, that was the standard. That's not necessarily always the case. So when Field moved to this new consortium from the COG, it caught Linda's ear and it caught my ear. So we started investigating, and we brought the gentleman in, he presented. So as I said, we're still looking at it, but all signs point to this could actually be a win for our employees and for the district, meaning the coverage is basically the same and the cost could be cheaper. And that's the key. It could put money in people's pocket, and it could help the district. Because right now we're on a self-insurance fund, and it's wildly unpredictable, meaning every week I get invoices from people's claims. And some weeks it's $30,000, and some weeks it's $120,000. And as we well know, with the pandemic hopefully winding down, there will be a lot of what they call elective surgeries that have been put on hold for 2+ years. There's going to be a flood of them. I've talked to people in the industry. I've talked to my brother that worked for a hospital for his whole life, and they're anticipating just a huge amount of procedures that people have just put off, or their doctor put it off for them, or the hospital put it off for them. So this is going to bring a predictive level of expenditure, which for me is always easier. I know what I'm going to have, so therefore we can budget accordingly. So that's kind of, in this whole era of tough news, that could be some good news, and we need good news around here. We need people to step up and pass this levy. We need that good news. And I always tell everybody, in school funding, especially here, it's gonna get better. We're seeing it already. We're seeing the ship getting turned. We see it in the admin building. We have a renewed hope, and I always tell people that all the time. You gotta have hope. This is a great district. It's got a great tradition, and we just need some help, so let's hope. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Mr. Boswell, Business Manager's Report.
Good evening. A couple items that I have for you this evening. I have a packet with each of the board members, as well as I had some extra handouts on the back table there. The first page in your hand up is a flyer for the Ohio School Safety Center and their tip line. Speak Up, Save Lives. There's a tip line that is 24/7. It can be called or texted. In kind of the motto there is see something, say something. So if there's weapons, activities that are concerning to individuals, violence, self-harm, those type of things can be reported to this tip line, and those are directed to analysts with the Ohio Homeland Security, and they will take action if that means reaching out to us to notify us of something or getting somebody in contact with the right professionals to help them. They will take care of that 24/7. So there's a handout for that. That'll also be going out through our social media channels, as well as direct emails to parents and students to make sure that everybody has that information at their fingertips should they need it. And then the second item I have is that next week, March 20th through 26th, is Severe Weather Awareness Week, and the statewide tornado drill will be Wednesday, March 23rd at 9:50 a.m. So in communities like ours, you'll hear tornado sirens going off at that time to test them. So that is part of the drill and preparing for the upcoming storm season. In addition to those packets, I also have some information for preparing. Are you ready for things that you might need to prepare for those type of emergencies, power outages, floods, severe weather, and then also reference ready.ohio.gov. And on ready.ohio.gov, you can find resources to help you and your family make an emergency plan, make a kit for items that you may need in an emergency, and other resources to prepare for potential emergencies. So as we lead into storm and tornado season there, those are great resources to help keep you safe at home. And of course at school we'll be doing tornado drills and making sure everybody knows procedures of what to do here in school in case of severe weather, but also wanted to give you some resources to help out at home as well. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Dustin. Item 14, Superintendent's Report.
First off, I'd like to thank Mrs. Varden and her team for hosting tonight and having us here. Great presentation, really enjoyed it. I'm curious as to the people who were presenting, what box were you in tonight?
Anxious.
Yeah, I'm guessing it was yellow or red, maybe.
It's not a box, it's a zone.
A zone, I'm sorry, a zone. Thanks for the correction. But great presentation. We really appreciate you having us here tonight. First off, I'd like to just thank Holly Reed and Rob Lane for the years of dedication and service that they had here. They were both wonderful teachers. Our kids benefited from their classrooms. Holly was here 34 years, just a wonderful teacher. She's one of our best. She is going to be missed. She came into the office last week with her letter of retirement, and I told her, geez, Holly, if you change your mind any time before the board meeting, just let me know and I'll pull it back off the agenda. But she's ready to go, and she's in a good place. So she's going to be missed though. But we appreciate their dedication and years of service. And Rob, in his own right, was a great teacher as well. So they're both going to be missed.
But Rob's on to bigger and better things, and he's running his own business and doing great and is very, very happy. And both of them were really, really appreciative of the opportunity to teach here at Springfield. Second thing on the list is myself and the administrative team. We were all in the yellow and red zone, maybe blue zone, this past week or probably this past month, trying to figure out the cuts. That is always awful, reducing teachers and classified staff. It's never fun. It doesn't give us any pleasure doing that. In Ohio, a district has to operate in the black. We have what's called a 5-year forecast. And without these cuts, it was impossible for us to operate in the black. In an ideal situation, a district both cuts costs and they increase revenue. Here, so far, we've just been cutting costs. We did that again tonight with the cuts. What we have to do to be a viable district again is increase revenue. And the only way we can do that is by passing issue 4 that everybody knows about. It's affordable, it's greatly needed. That is the only way to bring back some of those things that we cut tonight. I know some people think, well, just let the state come in and they can take over and they'll solve the problem. I can guarantee you if the state comes in, all they're going to do is make more cuts, and those programs that we hated to see lose tonight, they won't be coming back. That's a guarantee. So please get out and vote yes on issue 4 on May the 3rd, correct? On a brighter note, I want to congratulate Mr. Hofer, and he wasn't sure he wanted me to do this tonight because of the bad news, but let's celebrate some good news as well. I'm going to read a letter that I got from the Ohio School Boards Association, and it says, on behalf of the officers, trustees, and staff of the Ohio School Boards Association, I'd like to commend you, Dave Hofer, on becoming a recipient of the 2022 OSBA Service Award. The Service Award is a distinct award and is part of our STAR Awards program. Service, training, aptitude, and recognition. Congratulations. Your efforts reflect a true commitment toward public education and the importance you attach to your role as a school board member. Thank you for your dedication. The OSBA Service Award is presented to a very select group. Of more than 3,400 board members in Ohio, only 56 will receive the honor in 2022. The OSBA would like to officially recognize your achievement at your regional spring conference, which will take place tomorrow evening when Mr. Hofer is recognized. So, Dave, congratulations and thank you for all your hard work. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
The other thing I'd like to say this evening, a few more things. I want to say thanks to the teachers. Being back here for the last 3 months, or almost 3 months, it's been a rewarding experience to me to see what a great teaching staff we have. Nothing has changed as far as that goes. They are wonderful. It is so fun to go through the buildings and see the kids and talk to the kids, but see what the teachers do. Same way with our classified staff, the bus drivers, the folks in the cafeteria, the teachers' aides, the secretaries. We have wonderful people here at Springfield. They're doing a great job in difficult times. I'd also like to thank my administrative team. Sometimes they get overlooked. We talk about teachers, we talk about everybody else. They're kind of the unsung heroes in the background. They get blamed for a lot of things when things go wrong, but they get overlooked as well. They do a great job. I can tell you firsthand how fortunate I am to have them as my administrative team. They are outstanding. They are professional, they're dedicated, and they work very hard for the kids in our district. So I just wanted to tell those folks, all of those folks, and especially the ones in the room tonight, we have a bunch of them here. Thank you for all you do. It's very, very appreciated. One of the other things that we're planning is a new superintendent reception. Tentatively, and I say tentatively, that is Thursday, April the 21st 1st at 2:45 in the community room at the high school. I understand that's also a special day for somebody here. But we will announce that and make it public as soon as all the details are finalized. But it looks like it's going to be the 21st. Am I correct? You are. Okay, thank you.
Do you have a time on that yet?
It'll start at 2:45, and it's going to be kind of an open house reception where people filter in after school hours, and we'll invite the community as well. So Shelley, I guess you'll be there as long as you need to be.
I will be there for as long as I need to be.
And finally, the high school is having a drama this weekend called Clue. It's going to be performed in the high school auditorium both Friday and Saturday night at 7:30, and as they say, break a leg. That is all I have. Shelley, as the new superintendent, is there anything you'd like to add tonight?
I'm just excited to be here, and I'm looking forward to July 1st, so just to be around a lot for that. Going to the play on Saturday, so.
Very good. I'm going Friday, so
Okay, so
we're well covered then.
we're well covered then, so
Okay.
I'm very excited, thank you.
Very good. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Items worthy of your note. March 17th, high school, junior high conferences, 4 to 7 p.m. March 28th, spring vacation begins. April 4th, classes resume. April 15th, no school, Good Friday. And April 18th, no school, conference, comp day. Item 16, citizens' comments. Participants shall be limited to 5-minute durations. Seeing none. Board members informal. I'll start with, I was very taken by the presentation that we had tonight, and one thing I heard you say was you've seen a lot of growth. I'm curious, what are some of your indicators of success? What are you seeing that show that you've had that growth?
Okay, one example.
Yeah.
A boy comes in and puts his card on red, because I have my own chart. How are you doing? You okay? You're on red. He says, I'm okay, I'm angry, but I'm gonna be okay today. No problems all day. Next day he comes in and puts it on red again. You're on red again. Are you okay? He's having problems at home. He says, I'm okay, I can handle it. I want you to know that this is how I feel, but perfect day. This is how it's working. And, I mean, they just want you to understand where they're at, and it's a good heads up in case they don't make it through the day. And so, but a lot of them can change, and he didn't, but he was okay. But other kids will come in and it'll be blue, and then it'll be the green, and they go through this through the day, and you know it. And it's important to them that you know as a teacher, and sometimes they ask me to.
Yeah.
But I don't have to do that. But
I was just gonna say, the use of the universal language across our entire building, from the beginning of the year, like teaching the vocabulary till now, you hear the kids using it in the hallway, using it in classrooms, the teachers are using it. If two students get into an argument about something, or if a student's like really sensitive about a topic, and instead of them, I don't know, throwing something across the room or screaming or using bad words, they're taking the steps to deep breathe, they're doing the finger tapping, they're expressing, I'm frustrated, I'm in the yellow zone. The teacher or another student will ask, I see that you're in the yellow zone, I see you're in the red zone, would you like a tool? And again, like they take another deep breath and they're thinking about what it is that they're gonna say next before just reacting, which is one of our tools is stop, talk, and go. And so, I mean, I see it a lot in speech, because in speech, you know, we have a lot of fun, but they also get really frustrated when, you know, one kid's able to reach a goal and the other's not, or they lose a game, you know, those social emotional skills that we talk about in problem solving. They're helping each other out in using those strategies instead of just reacting or exploding when they're angry.
Sure.
It's really cool to see.
You know, my excitement about this is the fact that you're probably going to see more kids using the calming corners, which is going to result in less referrals to the office, which will in turn around to less referrals to the Board of Education, which is a great thing for everybody. So I was really taken with your presentation, and I just want to encourage you to keep up the good work.
I
I was gonna add a couple things. I'm sure Mrs. Richardson, the music teacher, won't mind me using her as an example. She's been teaching for a lot of years and has always focused on, you know, the music and the kids coming in and music. She's always obviously taught kids. But as part of the team, watching her growth and figuring out, if I take this few minutes to connect with my students and when they come in, and provide that opportunity for them, and doing mindful music, she's been doing mindful music all year. Just watching her change to, wow, I had no idea this could make this big of a difference, this big of an impact on them, and she goes, my discipline has decreased by so much. So hearing her, and I've known her her entire career, and just watching her personal growth just in these, last 6 months has been incredible. And I think one of the other things that we're seeing is with our Spartan, being respectful, responsible, safe, and kind, being intertwined with the social emotional learning, we're seeing kids advocating for each other and, hey, why don't you try figure 8 breathing? Or, remember you've got that special place, that calm place to go in your head, get that picture up there, listening to them help each other through their problems. That's what life is about. That's a life skill, and you can't beat that. I mean, you just really can't. So it's not just the data that's going to come across in numbers. It's the personal connections, the personal interactions, and the personal interactions with each other, staff with staff, kids with kids. It's just been incredible. Watching Mr. Germanovich use, what zone are you in, has been a lot of fun. Because those are the kids that are coming in that are on that behavior end of it and the discipline end of it. And he'll get them to what zone are you in, what did you do, and to get them to be responsible for where they're at right now and what they did and why it was wrong. And it's just been neat to watch that growth over time here.
Well, thank you.
As an intervention specialist, if the behavior's under control, the learning takes off.
Good.
And it's been really cool just through the check-ins. In the beginning, you see a lot of repeat names, but as the students get more comfortable and they really do see it as an ally, you start to see new kids starting to express themselves and express their needs and really learn that there are people out there for them, even if they really don't know who to go to, which has been really cool to see.
That's good.
One of the things that we do this year at the beginning of the school day on Monday. So it's done it's your first class Monday. Some kids, that's their only class, but they take time at the beginning. One of the things that I'm hearing from the teachers is we need a set time other than just the first thing in the morning where we can have more time to teach the lesson and so forth. So we will be having, we have art, or we have art, music, gym. Next year we'll have an SEL period. They'll teach the stuff during that time. So that will kind of be one of their specials. And I think that will be a lot more effective because it's hard now to just do it because we don't typically have a home room. It's just your first class. And so teachers have expressed, sometimes it's hard because we got to get right into our math, but we're doing it, but we would like more time to do it. So that's how it's going to be built in next year. So this is our first year, and you've heard where we're at, and then we'll take it further. But I think that will really help even let the teachers go deeper in the program.
Good idea.
One last thing, the videos that we've used and some of the lessons that we used has totally normalized anxiety and some of the mental health pieces that we don't always get to and we don't always spend a lot of time on, but it's allowed the students who do have intense anxiety, severe anxiety, to be like, oh, that video, okay, that was me. And now everybody realizes anxiety is a real thing, and I'm not just faking it, or some things like that, and some of the other feelings and things that it's allowed the students who do have some of those upper end mental health pieces to feel more okay about who they are and what they're about.
Yeah, because the zones of regulation, they are really, really, how do I explain this? They want to make sure that everyone knows that no matter what zone you're in, it's okay. It's okay to be in the red zone. It's okay to be in the blue zone. If you're frustrated, that's fine. There is no good zone. None of the zones are bad. And I think that's another thing our students struggle with is not only are they have a hard time recognizing their emotions, but being able to accept the fact that they're having anxiety, accept the fact that they're angry, accept the fact that they're sad. And then that is a snowball effect into masking their emotions because they're not able to handle their emotions or regulate them or express them. And so I think that's another reason to connect off of what you said is our students being able to just accept themselves for who they are and become comfortable with their own emotions and express it and not care if anyone's judging them or thinking of them negatively. It's just like zones is just an all around like very positive curriculum, and it's just great. Yeah.
Well, thank you again. Cynthia?
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I just, I think I've heard from a lot of students this week because of a couple programs that they feel, aren't going to get the support they need next year. And, it's hard to look at them and say, we'll do what we, it's what we have to do because of the recovery plan. And, I'm not beyond begging, I'll tell you that, is if, anyone can support this levy, if they will do it. I know it's more money. My husband and I live on a fixed income. I know I hear that. But if we could just stabilize where we are so that we can move forward. And some of these programs that, because when I hear teachers are cut, my old life comes back to me and I think, no, that means programs are cut too. It's double. And so I want to be able to get to the point where we can look at what can we realistically bring back or offer. I don't know if bring back's the correct word. What can we add to the offerings for the kids next year? What can we do going forward? So I don't know what to say. I'm babbling, but I'm just, I'm very, well, you see what I am. I don't know what else to say, but thank you. And thank you for the program. I had a high school student ask me yesterday if we could do, Mrs. Frohl, is there any way we can do a mindfulness program? And I thought, I'm listening to you, and I thought, well, you're kind of doing that. It has a different name, but, maybe eventually we can institute it somewhere else. So, thank you. Thank you. Sorry.
No? Thanks for doing this. I saw inklings of this a couple years ago at the I Promise School, believe it or not. So I'm glad it's here. And I have a couple other things. Alumni Wednesday. So I always like to, today we're looking at Spartan Alumni couple, meet Sam Karras and Kenny Stevenson. Sam Karras Stevenson graduated from Springfield in 2013. While at Springfield, Sam was a member of class council, National Honor Society, and Romano, and a member of the top 25 of her class. Sam was also an athlete playing volleyball, basketball. She ran track. Her fondest memories from high school are playing sports, going to Friday night football games, and she loved the sock hops. Sam graduated from the University of Akron in 2017 with a bachelor's in early childhood education, and then in 2019 with a master's degree in mild, moderate intervention specialist. Sam's future plans include buying a house with her husband Kenny, also a Spartan alumni. She also plans to go back to school to get her endorsement to be a school principal. Her advice to her current Spartans is, when one door closes, another opens. Take advantage of every opportunity you get. Kenny Stevens, her husband, is a 2011 graduate of Springfield High School. Kenny is currently working for J.D. Williamson Construction Company as a land surveyor. This company is a heavy highway construction company that specializes in demolition, building bridges for the Ohio Department of Transportation, and the local county engineering departments. Kenny's main tasks are to put together the plans of how an existing bridge will be demolished using AutoCAD software and analyze proposed plan designs for the new bridges to be built and perform field work using various surveying equipment to lay out where the specific bridge structures are proposed to be built. While Kenny was at Springfield, he played basketball and ran track. He was a member of the National Honor Society, class council, and homecoming court. Kenny has many fond memories of high school, but when he asked to pick one of my fondest memories was during the track season my senior year when our 4x200 relay broke the school record. Kenny continued his education at the University of Akron, where he earned his associate's degree in land surveying and a bachelor's degree in surveying and mapping. Kenny would like to give a shout out to his former teachers, Mr. Wallace, Mrs. Kirst, and current teacher, Doc Burgess. Surveying relies very heavily on math skills, and these teachers gave him the necessary skills to prepare him so that he could do his job. In today's world, it's easy for other people to have an opinion on everything, including what you should do or shouldn't do with your life. As the saying goes, choose a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Moving on to things that happened in Columbus. I have a small list, so just bear with me, but it pertains to education. And I've always wanted to delve into legislation, and so here's some of them that, and some of these will ring a bell, and some of them are very controversial, but I think it begs to understand what's actually going on and affects education, both at the state level and at local level. House Finance Committee holds hearing on the backpack bill. First hearing of House Bill 290, which established a backpack scholarship program, occurred in the House Finance Committee on February 15, 2020. Provided sponsored testimony on the bill and forthcoming substitution version of the bill, in addition to answering questions from committee members. McLean, who was one of the original sponsors, made the following statement. The goal of this bill is to put kids first in our funding model for education, to acknowledge that education is not a one-size-fits-all approach and that empowering parents to make the best decision for their children will result in educational outcomes. Through the substitute version of the bill was announced, the committee held off voting to accept the substitute bill in order to give committee members time to read through the language of the bill, because that's important. Because I don't believe this is in the best interest of public schools. The substitute version of the bill provides the following details as how the backpack scholarship program would be established. The bill would allow all students, regardless of income, to be eligible for state-funded voucher that would be administered through the educational savings account. The amount that a student receives annually would be either $5,500 for students in K-8, $7,500 for students in 9 to 12. The bill establishes allowable expenses for those funds, including tuition and fees at participating charter, non-public schools, non-charter, non-public schools, and non-public online schools. And hence, there's where the debate lies. Participating schools must notify the treasurer of the state and would be subject to certain requirements, such as administering assessments to students every other year and requiring high school students to complete the graduation seals process. Additionally, the funds could be used for tuition programs of study that lead to an industry-recognized credential that satisfies a workforce need. Other allowable expenses include tutoring and intervention services, textbooks, instructional materials, and supplies, fees for certain tests, including internationally standardized assessments, occupational behavior, speech language, and audiology therapies, fees for after-school and summer educational programs. The treasurer of the state would be responsible for administering the program, including maintaining the assessment data for the participating schools. The data would be available to parents who submit a request for information. Committee members questioned the fiscal impact of the bill, and the sponsors indicated that a detailed fiscal analysis would be forthcoming. Additionally, committee members expressed concerns as how this bill would affect the newly implemented state funding formula that passed in the operating budget. It's a very controversial bill. I don't believe it has public schools in their best interests. Pay attention to that bill, folks. Next, House rejects changes to Board of Revisions bill. And I think this is where we've had issues with properties. The Ohio House on March 2nd, 2022 voted unanimously not to concur with the Ohio Senate changes to House Bill 126. A version of that bill that passed the Senate would modify the Board of Revision process to only allow property owners to file an initial complaint and require a school district before filing a counter complaint to adopt a resolution that includes evidence of another value. Additionally, the Senate passed version would prohibit a property owner and a school district from entering into a private pay agreement and prohibit a school district from appealing the decision of a Board of Revision. House Bill 126 now heads back to the Ohio Senate to decide the next step. And these are three choices that will happen. Recede from its amendments, which effectively sends the House version of the bill to Governor DeWine. Adhere to the version, which effectively kills the bill, and insist on a new version of the bill, the likely outcome which prompts the convening of a 6-person conference committee. If House Bill 126 goes to conference committee, the House and Senate conference committee members will work to reconcile the differences between the two bill versions. This is another thing that's going to affect public schools and the tax base that we get part of our funding from. In other legislation recently introduced, and sometimes you got to sit back and look and shake your head at some of this. House Bill 562 introduced to require a state teachers retirement board to reinstate cost of living beginning July 1st, 2020. So if you're a retired teacher, that's been reintroduced. House Bill 565 has been introduced to add 5 students as non-voting members to the State Board of Education. That's interesting. House Bill 577 introduced to establish Ohio STEM Gateway Program under the College Credit Plus program that requires a public high school and public college to jointly develop 30 credit hour pathways in STEM and healthcare fields, allows schools to use existing pathways to meet 30 credit hour requirements to create the Ohio STEM Retention Program that provides an annual tuition waiver of $2,000 for up to 3 academic years to a student who completes the Ohio STEM Gateway Program and enrolls in a STEM or healthcare field at a public college to create the Ohio, in capital letters, IT Promise Program that provides up to $4,000 in student loan forgiveness to an individual who meets certain requirements. House Bill 582 introduced, this is a very interesting one, to reduce term limits of school board members from 4 years to 2 years, to limit a school board member to serve no more than 4 consecutive terms, and to repeal the requirement that school board candidates appear on a nonpartisan ballot. 588, House Bill is to declare to the General Assembly the intent to establish new State Board of Education districts. Currently, we're in District 7. House Bill 306, this is the last one I have for tonight, to establish a voluntary tutoring and remedial instruction program that public schools and chartered non-public schools may participate in, that is administered by certain educational service centers. Columbus is a very busy place. There's close to OSBA lobbyist for us. His name escapes my mind right now, but he says of 1,000 bills that are on an average are submitted every year, 100 come to the floor to be voted on. Those are some of that's, 2 of them are very, we should have our eyes closed on those and are open on those to really watch what they're gonna do, where they're gonna vote. And it's never too late to go to the old form of pen and paper and voice your concerns. It's one of the reasons I mentioned that, just so you're informed of what's going on in Columbus. And lastly, Spectrum Channel 1023, Mr. Chenoweth and his group have some fun things for you to look at. Lakemore Council meeting recorded on 2/22/22, Springfield High School Faculty Follies number 2. Any guess when that was recorded? Any guess when that was recorded? 89. Very close, 1990. That's a long time ago. I was married 1 year. Springfield Township Trustees meeting recorded on 2/24/22. And Terry Kaiser's Sparkle Showcase, Part 1 and Part 2, because it's so long, it's in 2 clips. That was recorded on 2/26/22. So thank you to the Spectrum News Group there, puts it on our channel on 1023. And that's a wrap. Sorry it was so long.
I just wanted to say thanks to everybody. Unfortunately, we had to do what we had to do tonight to conform with the state. But I do understand that we're affecting families, and it's a very hard thing to do. And if there's a way that we can change that, which hopefully this levy will help, I'd like to see us get turned around. That's all I have.
I want to say thank you to Schropp for hosting tonight. Listening to their presentation, you can kind of tell that schools aren't just for education anymore. When I went to school, nobody came in and said, hey, what zone are you in? And what's wrong? Did you not, nobody, I mean, I can't say they didn't care, but it was different. You hear a lot of people speak about the levy. Like I said, school isn't just about education. Making mental health, I think mental health has come to a big topic, including once COVID came. One thing that you guys stated that kind of hit me is the acceptance of anxiety. No judgment. I would never think when I was raising my 2 boys that in 3rd, 4th grade, that judgment and acceptance was such a big deal. Now having a daughter, I realize, and I'm not trying, they're just different, I see how acceptance and judgment impacts us a little bit more. So to have that safety zone, the levy is important. It's not just about math, science, arithmetic, everything like that. We need this in order to give our kids a safe place. And not everybody has that safe place at home. So thank you for taking that time, Ms. Varden, everybody, to learn and to help our kids. That's all I got.
All right, thank you. Item 18, adjournment. It is recommended that the board meeting be adjourned at this time.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Ms. Terry,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Hofer,
Yes.
Mrs. Frola,
Yes.
Mr. Petrie.
Yes. Motion carried. We are adjourned.